I wanted to first start off by introducing our agenda, and also introducing the staff members that will be speaking today. So my name is May. I work for LearnUp Centers based in San Francisco. We are a literacy clinic. So first we're going to have Tara, my colleague Tara, who will be giving an overview of our program, talking about who are we and what do we do. And she will also be introducing some of our 2025 summer offerings. And then we'll go in Q&A if anyone has any questions specifically about how our program works or about our summer offerings specifically. And then Tara will continue to talk a little bit about LearnUp in the community and what we've been doing specifically in the Bay Area and how we've been interacting with the community here. And then she'll pass it on to my other colleague, Kayla, who will be speaking more about the our middle and high school program that we've developed as we're starting to work with more middle and high school students, and also introducing the new high interest, low readability books that we've started to write as a center for our middle and high school students. And then we'll have another Q&A if anyone has any questions about that or any general questions. And then I will introduce our next event. We have this meeting blocked from 6 to 7 p.m., but if it ends earlier, then that's totally fine. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. Tara, would you like to take over?
Yes, thank you, Meg. All right, so my name is Tara. I am the Partnership Program Manager at LearnUp, and I am excited to share with you some about our program. So first, we are a nonprofit, and we have been around since 2016, and we are on a mission to reach and teach struggling readers in every community so that students can learn to read with confidence using our fast and proven structured literacy program. At LearnUp, we have a variety of offerings. So we offer tutoring both in person and virtually, and we have amazing outcomes with our virtual students. In addition, we offer training so that we can help more people learn the essential skills to create more readers. Recently, we have been working to build new curriculum as well, and today we are excited to share with you more on our program specifically geared towards teaching teens and our new books that are written to engage teens. So we know that humans are naturally wired to speak, but not to read, which makes structured literacy essential. Most students need to be taught how to read in a systematic way. Many of our learners struggle due to undiagnosed reading differences, and some struggle just due to not being taught to read the right way. So think of it this way. Everyone is born dyslexic. Some are wired to read, and others are not. 20% will learn how to read no matter what. Another 60% need to be taught, and approximately half of those will learn to read some way or another. But the other half will struggle if they're not presented with a structured literacy program. And the bottom 20% are the ones who are dyslexic and have learning differences and will not be able to read if they're not using a structured literacy program that's based in the science of reading. So we know that as a nation, we are not succeeding at teaching our students how to read. America has a lower literacy rate than most developed countries, and this is particularly relevant to urban districts such as San Francisco, where we have a large portion of students who live in highly impacted and low-income communities. We know that there are certain key elements that make a great structured literacy program. And our program follows all of the recommendations from the National Reading Panel of what makes a successful reading program, such as incorporating oral language and phonemic awareness. Our program is designed for students who are reading far below grade level and who may have learning differences. And typically these students have had negative experiences with reading. So each lesson, we work on phonics. We reinforce those phonics skills using nonsense syllables as practice, and we spend half the time actually reading. And since from day one, our students are reading in a book, it builds confidence and allows them to see themselves as readers. Our books are phonemically aligned chapter books that reinforce their phonics skills, and it helps students practice what they're learning as they move through our scope and sequence. So at LearnUp, we know that students do not come to us as empty vessels. They already have knowledge. And so we have a variety of entry levels designed to meet students where they are. We have our Start 1 students, which are non-readers. These are students who don't know their basic consonant and vowel sounds. Then we have students who are Start 2s and are early readers, so they are ready for one-syllable words. And then we move into our Start 3 students, emerging readers. They need support with syllable division to read their two-syllable words. We then have our Start 4 developing readers who have a lot of gaps in their phonics and need support with multi-syllable words. And lastly, we have our Start 5s, which are breakthrough readers. These are students who sound like they can read well, but when you ask them what they read, they can't tell you. And this is because they're so focused on decoding, they likely have gaps in their phonics and they need support with comprehension and writing skills. So here we want to share with you some of our data from students who have gone through our program. So this is based on SF residents. So these are students we've worked with through San Francisco Unified School District or some of our other community-based organizations. And what we see is that the average student is growing 2 grade levels in the text that they can decode over about 40 sessions in our program, which is the equivalent of about 3 months. And here you can see that our lower elementary students are gaining a little over 1 grade level in those 40 sessions. Our upper elementary students are gaining a little over 2 grade levels, with our middle school students gaining about 2.5 grade levels, and our high school students having the highest gains of a little over 3 grade levels. Now, the best way to really understand a student's reading growth is to hear and see them reading. So I want to share with you our student, Stacy, who came to us as a Start 1 student who needed to learn her basic consonant and vowel sounds. And she was also an English language learner struggling with reading.
I can be heard, bud, 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 got mud, and have it felt.
In that video, you can hear Stacy is struggling to break down one-syllable words such as bad. Next, we're going to show you a video of Stacy reading after 60 sessions at LearnUp.
Mac and Ty came to my home last night for a sleepover, and we slept um, um, high up in the attic. At first, I this place was spooky, and I bet of a mess.
Right now, I'm so impressed with Stacy's progress. You can see that she's now reading in a 3rd grade level text and she's able to break down words independently.
Mac and Ty.
Right, so now that I've shared with you a bit about our program, I want to discuss with you some of our summer offerings, and then I'll open up the floor to questions. So this summer at LearnUp, we have a summer camp model, which involves 3 weeks of tutoring sessions as a camp with 1 hour of tutoring each day, Monday through Friday. We want to help our students prevent the summer slide and have a camp that is tailored towards kids with busy schedules. Our camps are 3 weeks because we want to offer a modular schedule throughout the summer as people are going on vacations and busy with other camps. And we also know that it takes about 3 weeks or about 15 sessions to start to see a difference in those reading skills. And this summer, we're offering, if you sign up for a full camp of 3 weeks, you get a 20% discount on our tuition costs. So if you're interested, please use our QR code on your screen. And we are going to be putting into the chat a link to our website as well so that you can learn more. All right, now I want to open up the floor to any questions.
If anyone has any questions, you can feel free to either unmute and just shout it out or put them in the chat as well.
Hi, I'm having trouble with the chat. Can I just shout it out?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you tell me about the training that the teachers get?
Yes, so we have our training in our structured literacy program, and tutors will go through about 60 hours of training using some videos on an online course, our theory to practice either virtually or in person in order to help understand how to really help students walk through those concepts and understand how to go through a full lesson plan as well, understanding how our books correspond with our scope and sequence, working on spelling, comprehension, and writing. All right, I also have a question in the chat here about financial assistance available for summer camps. So yes, you can use our link to sign into our form on the financial aid. May, do you have that? Could you pop that in the chat? So we have our regular financial aid form, and you can go through that process in order to see if we have aid available for our summer camps.
Are the camps virtual or in person?
We offer both. So we have in-person sessions at our reading clinic, which is based in San Francisco on Fillmore and Geary. And we also have virtual sessions available as well. Our tutors are available throughout the entire day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. All right, someone in the chat asked about how our summer program works. So good question. We do one-on-one sessions. We see that as how students get the best growth. And the 1 hour is used each day by breaking up work on our multisensory board where we teach students new phonics concepts or skills and then incorporating those skills through reading in a book for the second half of our session and responding to comprehension questions and doing some written response at the end as well. Let me check in. I see I have a hand raised here from Adriana. Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Hi, so I have two questions. The first one is, what happens to the participants after the summer? Are they then placed in a year-round program where they can continue the support?
So yes, families would have the option to continue services in the fall as well. There would not be that same summer discount.
Okay.
Mhm.
And second question is, what tools are in place for students who may have issues with memory or tend to forget the material often?
Yeah, good question. So our program is designed for a student with dyslexia, with learning differences. And so we build in models that help students with processing and memory and attention as well. So each session we review the previous concepts learned. And if a student is struggling in particular with certain concepts, we'll spend more time on that concept. So we reinforce. We're not a mastery program, but we don't move on until a student is able to apply that concept, and we continue to build in repetition so that students don't forget those concepts. I also wanted to address a question earlier in the chat that is, how is progress measured? We have a variety of progress measurements that we use at LearnUp. Our most common one is what we call our oral reading fluency. So once a week, a tutor does a 1-minute reading with a student, and that measures both their fluency or words correct per minute, and it measures the grade level of the text that they're able to decode. So as students move through the program and gain more phonics skills, then they move into more complex books at higher grade levels. We also use some external measurements that are nationally normed, such as the Scholastic, in order to get a oral reading fluency that is based in a non-decodable text. And we use some other measures to look at phonetic decoding and sight word ability as well.
We have questions in the chat about how the LearnUp program compares to, for example, the Barton method with tiles or other reading programs, for example, with Kumon. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, good questions from this group. So our program was originally developed by Steve Tatum, who has over 25 years of experience, and he is a train the trainer in a variety of different reading programs, such as Slingerland, Linda Mood Bell, a lot of different Orton-Gillingham based programs. And so we took what we found to be the best elements of each of those programs and combined it to move as quickly as possible so that we're not spending any time going back and teaching things students already know. And we're incorporating things such as tiles and a multi-sensory board because we know that that helps students learn by using the senses of moving on the board, by using the auditorial senses of hearing those sounds and connecting that with the visual symbols to build that sound symbol relationship.
I'm gonna put out one final question before we move on. Someone asked, how well do the sensory boards and materials work over a virtual session?
Good question as well. So we have a board that is virtual, that is interactive. So the student is able to move the tiles on the board, and we are still building in that visual and auditory element. We also have our chapter books that are shared virtually as well, so that students still get the response of reading in a book just on the screen.
Quick follow-up. You said you're still working on building up the audio and video virtually. Where is that currently at then? When will that be ready?
Oh, sorry. I think I misspoke, or maybe there was a miscommunication. So our board is ready and we're using it currently, and so it builds off of like auditorial and visual elements as they're using that board. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying.
Great, let's move on to talking about LearnUp in the community, as well as our middle high school program and our new books. And then there's another Q&A section at the end for anyone who has any more questions.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here for you all. All right, so to start off, I want to share a little more information about our community-based organizations. So we are currently partnering with the Boys and Girls Clubs of San Francisco, Real Options for City Kids in Viz Valley, and Mission Graduates. And we're also working directly with schools within the district as well. So we're working with a variety of elementary schools, Alvarado, El Dorado, and Moscone Elementary, and we are working with our middle and high schools of Biz Valley Middle School and Mission High School. And I'm excited to turn this over to Kayla in just a moment so that she can tell you a little more about our curriculum tailored towards middle and high school students. I also want to share that as we're working with these middle and high school students, what this is showing us is that students are not gaining the foundational skills that they need in elementary school. And so we are working with them to move them through our scope and sequence of our program at a point where they should have already developed these skills. All right, so here we go. I'm going to turn this over to Kayla.
Thank you. So there are very real repercussions that materialize in students' adult life when they are not taught to read at the prime age, probably around elementary school. And into adulthood, we see that it affects students' financial life, their emotional well-being, their confidence, and access to education and other materials that you need to be an adult. Um, so here at LearnUp, we decided that our best bet was to curate a lesson plan slash variations to our current lessons that will help tailor to middle school and high school students who did not get that supplemental help. Next slide, please. So we wanted to figure out how to work with teenagers. We have plenty of experience here as educators and as tutors here at LearnUp of with how difficult it can be to work with our high school and middle school students, especially with a curriculum and many curriculums that are geared towards younger students. We found here that the best way to work with high school students and middle school students is to have one, structured literacy, and two, buy-in. We have our structured literacy down, but what we really wanted to focus on was our buy-in. So the first aspect of student buy-in that we found was cultural awareness on the tutor's end. Now, this goes beyond being able to understand their lingo, being able to understand, what skibbity toilet means. But understanding where behaviors are coming from and being able to empathize with the student and then subsequently work with that student depending on wherever the behaviors are stemming from, so you can have a more perfectly curated education program for them. Um, Another aspect was accountability, not only as you as an educator, but on them as an older student. They're not kids anymore, and you have to be a little bit more firm and yeah, just be a little bit more firm in your expectations, but also empathetic to their abilities. So keep making sure that you are leading into the next one, developmentally appropriate, while also holding up that standard for the student. And another half of developmentally appropriateness is having language and materials that align with that student's developmental level. So, of course, materials that are curated and created for a younger population is not going to work as effectively for an older population. So, here's a student that we have, JP, one that I worked with personally. Um, He was a student that we worked with before we started implementing our new middle school and high school program. But I, being among a, a plethora of tutors who understood that there need to be slight changes made our own personal changes that have now been implemented into our middle school and high school program. So you'll be able to see how those results have taken place with him today. So here's his before.
I'm going to reshare here really quickly to make sure that we all are getting our appropriate audio.
Yes, thank you.
As resident meant grow to the United States, my family, I decided to take a trip to see the Statue of Liberty. This sculpture of freedom and strange was something we had read about for many years. We wanted to experience it firsthand.
All right, so now we're going to see a video of Jonathan reading after LearnUp sessions. So this is after he attended 80 sessions with us at LearnUp.
It was a beautiful summer day in Colorado, and Heather Wood had just received a free vacation to St. Thomas Island. Heather was a photographer for
Natural.
Natural Life magazine. She received this award for an incredible picture she had taken of charging lions in Central Africa.
And there we can hear how Jonathan is more confident and he is approaching the words that he's not sure of to decode them.
It was a beautiful.
Way less hesitant too. Love to see his progress. Okay. Well, all the in-session tweaks and changes that I implemented with JP as a middle school student have now been implemented into our new middle school and high school curriculum, which has not changed at all what the guts of our curriculum, but has just tailored the language a little bit to fit a more mature audience. So we are still aligned with the LearnUp's TADM reading, our structured literacy program. We are implementing new youth-centered practices that are going to be featured in a youth manifesto that comes at the beginning of this new lessons book. And additionally, we're going to have new and engaging materials written by LearnUp staff. And those books are also going to be aligned with our scope and sequence. Oh, I see you have to go, Karen. Bye. Thank you for coming.
Thank
So
you.
here we have a screenshot of our table of contents. And on top we have the youth development portion. So a more tailored and elaborate explanation of the things that I went over here briefly today will be explained in this youth development portion. And then we have underneath the table of contents for our lessons book. And as you can see, it's probably really small, but I just want to point out that it says variations. And some variations in some lessons have multiples. So that we have also made variations depending on what level the student is. So if the student needs more variation, we have a more varied version. And then if they need less, then we have less. Next slide, please. And here's an example of the new books that we are writing. So these, again, these books are written by LearnUp staff, and they are high interest, low readability books. So they look and feel like chapter books that you would pick up and read just like any of your peers, but the grade level is low. And by having a low grade level, next slide, I don't mean Sam, Cat, Ram, Bat. Love those books, but they don't really suit this audience. So as you can see, these books here have a way more mature layout. The font looks how it would in a young adult novel. The topics are going to be the same as they would in a young adult novel, and the plot is going to be complicated as it would be in a young adult novel, giving the feel of a more mature book, but as you can see at the bottom here, at a first grade level. So that was our goal here. Any questions? You can shout them out or you can add them into chat.
So earlier in the presentation, it was mentioned that LearnUp is now integrated in like schools and other organizations. What does that look like?
Good question. So I can take that one. So as we are working within schools, we work with the personnel and admin in order to find the best way to serve those students. So at some sites, we are pushing in during the school day, and we are able to provide support to students who aren't accessing the curriculum in their classes and catch them up to the level where they can access that curriculum. At other schools, we're working during an after-school program where students may already be attending that program, and then we pull them during a kind of academic or power hour time to do our LearnUp work 5 days a week. So let me know if that answered your question or if you have any follow-ups as well.
Yeah, well, I brought that up because I'm actually thinking of switching my kid to one of the schools mentioned, but I want them to do this program. So I'm wondering if that's like would interfere, or if any kid is in a similar situation where they're already getting your program through their school, but the parent wants them to get it after hours as well. I wonder if that matters.
Yeah, so I can put my email in the chat so you can reach out to me directly. And I'd love to talk to you more about that specifically. But in general, the school is identifying students who are their most in need readers, and those are the ones that are working with us one-on-one once we have that family buy-in and the student buy-in as well. But I'd love to talk to you about your student specifically offline as well. All right, I see Lisa has her hand raised.
Yes, hello. And I have my very excited 8-year-old here with me, who has already done your intake, but I'm wondering, she has not done a Zoom session yet. Could you show us what that sensory board looks like, just so she can see how it comes across with Zoom? We've
Yeah.
not had great experiences with Zoom and her in the past, so I'm
Mhm.
interested to try it out here.
Definitely. Yeah. May, would you like to bring that up or would you like me to? Okay, great. So as May brings that up, I can talk a little bit about what makes our Zoom sessions a bit different. So one main thing is that our Zoom sessions are still that full one-on-one support. There is a live tutor on the other end the entire time walking the student through everything. And so they're still receiving that individualized support that they would get in person. This is not learning from videos or learning in a group setting on Zoom where they may not get that same attention. And we also encourage students to interact with our board, as we said, and our books as well. So I'm going to have May share that on our end, and we can take a look here. And what we can see is that by using the remote feature, students can move around our tiles so that they can put out words, and then we will switch over and a tutor will put out words for the student to read. So it feels as though you're kind of using the same space, even though you're online.
Has this been tested to also work on iPads?
Yes, we have had students use this on iPads as well.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Those are great questions. Any other questions from the group or from the chat? Okay, awesome. So I wanted to take this time to really quickly introduce our next event that I think would be of interest to many of you all. So I'm going to first share the link to sign up for this event in the chat, and then I'm going to share my screen and talk about it. Okay, great. So our next event is going to be part of our LearnUp speaker series. It will be on May 14th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You can RSVP on Eventbrite. And in this event, we're going to have Megan Potenti, the co-state director of Decoding Dyslexia California, which is a grassroots movement and advocacy group for students with dyslexia. And she will come to LearnUp in our audience and talk about dyslexia and its signs, what's the latest with dyslexia and reading in California state policy, and also what resources are available to families. A lot of the times families come to us with a lot of questions about, oh, my student's struggling in reading, or my kid just got diagnosed in dyslexia. What do I do? And so we wanted to hold this event as a part of a series of events to provide that resource to parents, whether it be just getting to know what kind of options are available to you, such as if you want to take the IEP route or the 504 plan route, or if you want to speak to a student advocate, just to know that these are options that are available to you. It's great. So I did share the link to sign up in the chat. You can also scan this QR code, and I'll also be sharing it after this meeting in an email with all of you. But otherwise, thank you all for coming to this event and for showing up and asking questions. And I hope you all have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.